Okay, so welcome everyone. I'm
Hi
Eloisa
there.
Ramos. Hi. And I'm with Sonia and Connie.
Hi.
Hello. So we left off last time with the study of A Course in Miracles, and we're doing the text. And today we are on chapter 1, the meaning of miracles, and it's section 2, Revelation time and miracles. And so let's see, we'll just go paragraph by paragraph. Let's see, I'll just start with number 1. So, A Course in Miracles, chapter 1, section 2, Revelation, Time, and Miracles. Number 1, revelation induces complete but temporary suspension of doubt and fear. It reflects the original form of communication between God and his creations, involving the extremely personal sense of creation, sometimes sought in physical relationships. Physical closeness cannot achieve it. Miracles, however, are genuinely interpersonal and result in true closeness to others. Revelation unites you directly with God. Miracles unite you directly with your brother. Neither emanates from consciousness, but both are experienced there. Consciousness is the state that induces action, though it does not inspire it. You are free to believe what you choose, and what you do attests to what you believe. Okay. This is a really important paragraph.
Yeah.
What came up for you guys?
Oh, you go ahead, man. There's just a lot there.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Sonia, do you have anything?
No, it's okay. You can go ahead.
Okay, so it's really making the distinction between 1, the miracle, and 2, revelation. Okay, and it's describing the idea of communication, which is sharing, which is what gives us the knowing that we are one mind, one Son of God. Okay, and that would be what we receive as an insight through the miracle. Because see, number 6, it says miracles unite you directly with your brother. Because the miracle recognizes that we're not bodies, that we're mind, and that we are one mind. We're not private, separate, individual brains. Okay, but we're a mind that is not in the body, because the body, even the brain, is the body. Okay, but most of us confuse the brain with the mind. Or we confuse it with consciousness. See, so it also brings in the word consciousness. But let's just start with each sentence here. Revelation induces complete but temporary suspension of doubt and fear. Okay, and if there is complete suspension of doubt and fear, what we have is no uncertainty whatsoever, not a speck of uncertainty. And that's what knowledge is. Okay, because it's absolute truth. And so revelation unites us with God. Line 5, revelation unites you directly with God. Okay. Precisely because there is no perception in revelation. Perception always involves some little bit or whatever, a lot of uncertainty, which is fear and doubt. And it's not knowing, because as long as there's one little speck of uncertainty, of doubt or fear, you're not going to know. Okay, because knowledge is complete, it's absolute. It's not the way we think of it here, like data, like information, you know. Okay, that's not the knowledge that we are, that's not spiritual knowledge. That's not the revelation that we're talking about here. It's direct communication with God, because in that moment, there is no separate self that can perceive itself as separate. So that's why number 5 says revelation unites you directly with God. Okay.
So I have a question on that second sentence there, where that piece of it involving the extremely personal sense of creation.
Yes.
Sometimes sought in physical relationships, and physical
Yes.
cannot achieve it.
That's right. So, so the revelation is the original form of communication between God and his creations. Okay, because there's no separation there. And what we do as human beings, believing that we are in a body, okay, we try to bring about union through physical relationships, through sexual relationships, through through creating children. Yes, because we are, let's see, we are still trying to be creative beings, but in a body that is not creative, because it's not spirit.
Well, I feel I would have those moments of oneness when I would just be with one of my cats or all of them or whatever, this incredible, just this oneness, no thinking, of just pure connection, union, whatever. Just in that moment, that feels like the allness of all.
Yes, but why would that be a physical relationship?
It just feels like that's the closest thing I can get to have that sense of God.
But what you're saying is that your cat is a body and that you're a body.
But in that moment, I'm not, there's just this sense or something of just, revelation.
No, I don't think it's revelation.
Yeah, it can't be true revelation, but it feels darn close.
Well, yeah, but what do you have to compare with?
Well, what about, maybe they help me to remember what that felt like, or I am remembering somewhat.
Okay, yes, but remember that feeling is a sensation.
Right.
Okay, and it has to do with the body. So if we're remembering a sensation, there has to be a body there somewhere that is sensing it. Right?
Yeah.
So here's the thing what it says here, which is very interesting. Number 7. Okay. Neither revelation nor the miracle, okay, come from consciousness. Okay, but they are both experienced there. Okay, so consciousness is the is perception. Okay, it's the whole world of sensation that we perceive and that we experience, okay, and that we call self-consciousness, knowing that I am me, Eloisa, and knowing that you are you, Connie, separate from me, okay, but yet I am able to sense you from a perceiver point of view as the subject, and you as separate from me as the object. Okay, now what happens is in those moments, sometimes that gap between the subject and the object, okay, seems to collapse so that the subject and the object are one. And that may be what's going on with you and your cat, okay? And so the perceiver lets go of the separation between the self and the not self. Okay. And so you lose that boundary of separation, and therefore you're no longer identifying yourself as separate from your cat, because you're not separate, okay? But it's still, but that would be more, that would not be revelation. That would be more like the holy instant, would be the miracle, where you lose the sense of being separate from your cat, from your brother, from nature, from the trees when you go out for a walk, you know. So it's a miracle because it unites you directly with your brother, with life, with what life is. So it doesn't have to be another human being. You know, it could be your cat, your dog, could be, yes, anything that you love. Anything that you love can help you remember that experience of oneness. Okay, and that is experience in consciousness, but the source of it is beyond time and space, beyond consciousness, because the source of it is still knowledge, absolute unconditional love, which we call God.
Oh, that's really helpful. It is like the holy instant and the miracle in that moment. Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, and so we have those experiences because, see, number 9, it says, you are free to believe what you choose, and what you do attests to what you believe. Let's see. So the belief, consciousness is a state that induces action, because what we believe, what we choose to believe, is going to be the driver for what we do, which is going to witness to that same belief. And that's why, let's see, the world is a reflection. The experiences in the world that we have are a reflection of what we believe, because those experiences have to reflect back what we believe, because they are projections of our mind coming from the beliefs that are then instructions to the body to do. But sometimes, we do, sometimes so sometimes we dissociate. Okay. Sometimes we dissociate the part of the mind that is believing, which is, let's see, which is ego, I would call, from the body, which is the one that carries out the instructions. And then when we dissociate, it's as if we are believing one thing, but doing another. And then it feels like we are kind of self-sabotaging ourselves. Okay. But we're not. It's just that we're dissociating. We don't want to take responsibility for what we do. And so for whatever, sometimes we do things that, for goodness sakes, we are not proud of. And we don't always want to admit that. We hide it, we repress it, rather than looking at it. And so that's why we get sort of discombobulated. We're not always in alignment with our thinking and our doing. So, okay. So creation is really direct communication with God. And that's why the Course makes that distinction between creation and miscreation, which it calls making. It's not a coincidence that, having sex we call making love, but we also refer to it as creating a family, making babies. So we want to make the word making as if it was creating, but it's not, because creating is really that direct communication with God, where we know we are not separate from creation, and therefore we are God. Which is probably, is, in that moment, there is no I. There is no difference, no separation at all between God and his creation. But the miracle is really what the Course focuses on. This is a Course in Miracles, because the practice is forgiveness. And without the practice of forgiveness, we cannot see the miracles in our life, because the forgiveness is that little willingness that is the catalyst for opening the mind to seeing the oneness of all of creation. I am one with my brother's not separate from me. Therefore do unto others as you would have them do unto you. That's the golden rule. Giving is receiving. And therefore, I would be very, very motivated to forgive and to be to express love, rather than choose to not forgive and believe that I am separate from you, and that what you did to me is not what I asked for. Yeah. Okay, is that good? Should we go to number 2? Okay, all right. Do you want to go, Sonia?
Sure. 2. Revelation is intensely personal. and cannot be meaningfully translated. That is why any attempt to describe it in words is impossible. Revelation induces only experience. Miracles, on the other hand, induce action. They are more useful now because of their interpersonal nature. In this phase of learning, working miracles is important because freedom from fear cannot be thrust upon you. Revelation is literally unspeakable because it is an experience of unspeakable love.
Okay. Anything there?
I think it's interesting when they, on number 4, miracles, on the other hand, induce action. I didn't really get that until now, because you only need action when you seemingly see people as separate from you. Like there's no need for, I don't know, it's more like the communication that for action. Or maybe I'm not phrasing it very well, but it's something clicked. It's just, I think it's because of the interpersonal nature. I think number 5, they're more useful now because of their interpersonal nature. Because miracles are really for forgiveness. I mean, they are forgiveness. And you only need forgiveness when you see people as separate, right?
Yes. Yes. Because remember, we're healing our mind. And we're healing our mind from the only problem that there is, which is a belief in separation. A belief that we are this separate individual little ego, and you are a separate individual little ego, and somehow our interests can conflict, and therefore we have to compete or survive, because what I want and what you want may be the same and there's not enough, or they may be the opposite and we can't agree on on what to do together or something. But so the miracle, yes, is the change in mind. And so it induces action because it corrects the way that we were seeing things before, and it allows us to offer love instead of revenge. And it allows us to get out of the patterns that we've developed, that we've been conditioned by the past, and even by stuff we brought in, inherited stuff, past life stuff, that takes on almost an automatic behavioral pattern of defensiveness, of distrust, of perceiving separation, that we're not separation. And so the miracle is the way that we undo all those perceptions that are fearful and that keep us separate. And that's how we begin to let go of the fear, because remember that the Course says that we made up fear. God did not make up fear, because God is only love.
No, that makes sense. It's actually reminding me, I was taking Luna for a walk, our little dog, and I was walking, and there's this neighbor that I always see that he usually likes to sit outside on his porch. But today, I saw him walking, carrying a box. And I saw him walking and I said hi. But usually I don't really talk to people when I go for walks, you know. I say hi and I look at people, but I don't really like instigate like a conversation or ask, you know. I just have never like done that. So, but this time I was really in the present moment for once, you know. And so this time I looked at him and I decided to ask him, "Oh, did you enjoy your day today?" But it was really strange because it was almost like I didn't plan that. Like it just kind of happened. Like, and I think that was the inducing of the action because I wasn't thinking anything at all. I just saw him and then the words just came out of my mouth. So, and then he was telling me about his day, and he was really really happy, and he was saying, oh, I'm retired, and he was just talking about himself, and I wasn't saying anything. He was just explaining, what he was doing, that he was cooking for people, and I was like, oh, that's really great, I'm sure they appreciate it. But it was a really nice interaction that I don't think I would have had if I had been fearful. I
Yeah.
think that's the whole point.
Yes, that's the whole point. Because that's union. So the miracle helps us to
Connect.
connect. There you go.
Mhm.
Rather than disconnect.
I love that. Thank you for that example, Sonia.
Mhm.
Yeah, I used to never engage with people. I thought, oh, I just got to mind my own business and it's not okay. But now I just love just trying to engage, in anybody I see, and the most remarkable little conversations happen. It's just, yeah, it's really
Mhm.
special.
Yeah.
Mhm.
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 Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
How did you feel after that? Didn't it feel nice, like you did connect? And
Yeah, no, it was really nice. I mean, it was just a very like happy, like loving, experience. And it was just, I guess it was very strange to have, it was almost like it wasn't me
Mhm.
interacting. You know what I mean? Because I didn't have any, like, it was very strange because there was no thought. Like it's just something that happened. So I think that was the miracle because
Mhm.
I wasn't the
Mhm.
one, like, because usually
Mhm.
you think before you say something, right? And you're like, okay, I'm gonna, say this and this. But no, there was just, it was supposed to be
Mhm.
like that, I guess.
Yes, so there's something, yes, so it's what's the word? The purpose, for talking to people. Usually the ego will give it a different purpose, and it's usually to purposely want to connect because you want to get something from somebody. uh, you know, even if it's just you want acknowledgement from others, it's still the ego tries to talk and connect and relate from a place of trying to get something uh, that I need in some way, that I think I need in some way. But the miracle is really coming from that out of time, out of scarcity place of just love. Um, and so it's not trying to do anything. In doing, it's not trying to do anything. That's kind of funny.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Mm.
so, um, okay. So anything else in there? Yes, number 6, in this phase of learning, working miracles is important because freedom from fear cannot be thrust upon you. Okay. So we are so used to having our guard up and feeling safe and protected by feeling fearful that to be free from fear cannot really be thrust upon us, okay? Because that would be terrifying. Because, where would all our protections, where would all our guards go? Do you see?
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and that's ultimately what we're doing, is we're just trying to release the fear that makes us choose separation rather than unity and love.
Mhm.
Mhm. Okay, do you want to go next, Connie? Number 3.
Okay. Awe should be reserved for revelation, to which it is perfectly and correctly applicable. It is not appropriate for miracles because a state of awe is worshipful, implying that one of the lesser order stands before his creator. You are a perfect creation and should experience awe only in the presence of the creator of perfection. The miracle is therefore a sign of love among equals. Equals should not be in awe of one another because awe implies inequality. It is therefore an inappropriate reaction to me. An elder brother is entitled to respect for his greater experience and obedience for his greater wisdom. He is also entitled to love because he is a brother, and to devotion if he is devoted. It is only my devotion that entitles me to yours. There is nothing about me that you cannot attain. I have nothing that does not come from God. The difference between us now is that I have nothing else. This leaves me in a state which is only potential in you.
Mm-hmm. And who is the me that's being referred to here in line 6? It is therefore an inappropriate reaction to me.
Yeah, I was just noticing those. It's like Jesus, Holy Spirit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The first time that's kind of come up in that way, I think. It's like, oh, suddenly she, it is narrating.
Yeah. It's actually I was reading that little booklet that Ken Wapnick, I think it was one of his speeches that was talking about Helen and like how the Course in Miracles came.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in one of the lines it was saying that it's not necessary to believe that it's Jesus in the course, like as you read it, but it's helpful to know that that's him talking. It's easier to understand. I think that's what something along the lines of that.
Mm-hmm.
So it is helpful to know that that's Jesus speaking when I'm reading this, because some people, I guess, prefer not to uh, associate him as with it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Jesus is, is the Son, the Son of God.
Mm-hmm.
And what he's saying is that we are all the creation of God. So for that reason, we are all brothers. We're one creation.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he is like an elder brother who has greater wisdom, okay, because 11 says, I have nothing that does not come from God. Okay, so what he realized was that everything else that does not come from God is not real. And therefore, why would he have any of that? So he would not be confusing himself with a body, with anything that is not eternal. And so that's, number 12 says the difference between us now is that I have nothing else. And this leaves me in a state which is only potential in you. And that's because we have thoughts, we have made up a world to reflect those thoughts and those beliefs, okay, that do not come from God. So that's why the Course looks at thoughts as either of God or of the ego. There's a thought system of the ego and there's the thought system of God. And so for Jesus, he was able to let go of the ego thought system. And that's why he only had what came from God, which is holy thoughts. He only had holy thoughts. He did not have any attack thoughts. He did not have any kind of thought that was unloving. And so for us, that is still a potential because we still believe and hold on to unloving thoughts. And we still, have moments where we want to defend and attack. So, so for that reason, it's still a potential because we haven't quite let go of all these ego thoughts of separation and attack and fear and guilt and sin.
Mhm.
And this paragraph makes a distinction between awe and how that cannot be applied to creation, but only to the creator of perfection, which is true creation. So it makes clear that that all life, which is created by God, is equal. And even if, Jesus was in greater wisdom, he's not saying that he is somehow better than us. He's saying we're all equal. Okay. It's just that you have not realized your full potential, which I did. Okay. So that doesn't make us unequal. And you could say that for all of life. So we're not really in a position to judge. We do, of course, everything in the world is hierarchical. So that's what we learn in school. There's the bacteria at the bottom, the viruses and the bacteria, and the producers. I mean, you have all these hierarchy structures that we learn in school, from predator, prey, consumer. When we look at nature, we categorize everything and we try to put them into hierarchies of inequality. And that's why we think that the human being is somehow superior to all other species. But since it's all just creation, it's all life, the life form is not we're basing the judgment on the form that the life comes through, and not the content of life itself. So all of life as life is completely equal, whether it's a small little baby that is completely dependent on a mother, or whether it's, the most productive human on earth. They're still equal, but we want to separate that and make one more valuable, or make one, let's see, more worthy of respect, or those kind of things, which only make separation seem to be real, inequality seem to be real, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. That's specialness.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we try to make ourselves special by putting ourselves at the top of the hierarchy. How convenient. Okay. Okay, number 4. Quote, "No man cometh unto the Father but by me," quote, does not mean that I am in any way separate or different from you, except in time, and time does not really exist. The statement is more meaningful in terms of a vertical rather than a horizontal axis. You stand below me and I stand below God in the process of quote unquote rising up. I am higher because without me, the distance between God and man would be too great for you to encompass. I bridge the distance as an elder brother to you on the one hand, and as a son of God on the other. My devotion to my brothers has placed me in charge of the sonship, which I render complete because I share it. This may appear to contradict the statement, quote, I and my Father are one, unquote. But there are 2 parts to the statement. In recognition that the Father is greater. Okay. So I think that it's trying to really emphasize and clarify that his position in the process of healing of the mind, because he is a healed mind. He recognizes that he is the Son of God and nothing else. And if we are still believing that we are separate from God, therefore we believe that we have, quote unquote, fallen from the grace of God and are no longer, that we have changed ourselves somehow and are now not divine, we're not divine order anymore, that we've lost that, in, getting kicked out of paradise kind of thing. And so I think that the point here is that he is like a bridge for us to be able to recognize him as a brother, and for him to recognize that he is the Son of God. And therefore, that gap between the fallen, Adam and Eve kicked out of heaven and God, that gap is not so big. And let's see. Yes. But throughout these 2 paragraphs, it's very clear that we cannot be the Father. So the mistake that we make is that we believe that in separating from God, we become self-creative beings. And that's why we confuse creating children with having usurped the power of God and now being on our own. children of Adam and Eve, that kind of thing. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Number 5.
Is it my turn?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, 5. Revelations are indirectly inspired by me because I am close to the Holy Spirit and alert to the revelation readiness of my brothers. I can thus bring down to them more than they can draw down to themselves. The Holy Spirit mediates higher to lower communication, keeping the direct channel from God to you open for revelation. Revelation is not reciprocal. It proceeds from God to you, but not from you to God.
Okay. It's interesting. Okay. Yeah, so this is interesting. The first sentence there, it says that they're indirectly inspired by me, Jesus, because I am close to the Holy Spirit, which is inspiration, communication, and alert to the revelation readiness of my brothers. So I can thus bring down to them more that they can draw down to themselves. And it reminds me of how Jesus gave the Holy Spirit to his apostles when he, I believe it was after he resurrected, he said, I leave you the Holy Spirit. So he was giving us the Holy Spirit to mediate that communication from higher to lower. So to keep that direct channel from God open. But the mind has to be ready for it, because remember what it said in the previous paragraph, that the complete absence of fear and doubt cannot be forced upon us. We have to be ready to and willing to let go of fear, because we made it. And because we made it, God, even though it's an illusion, God is not going to just take it away from us. Okay. And so the revelation readiness means that we have done the work of letting go of fear and trusting in the higher guidance from the Holy Spirit. Yeah. And it's not reciprocal because we are the ones that have forgotten love. We're the ones that have forgotten knowledge. So it's almost as if we believe that we were cast out of paradise, but actually we cast knowledge out of our mind so that we don't remember the truth. And so the mind needs to open to receive that truth, because we have closed our mind to it. Yeah, and that's why it would not be from us to God, because we believe we have lost knowledge. So it wouldn't work the other way. It's going to work that way down to us.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because what would we be giving if we don't have it?
If we don't think we have it.
Yeah, if we don't think we have it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Connie, do you want to go? 6?
Okay. The miracle minimizes the need for time. In the longitudinal or horizontal plane, the recognition of the equality of the members of the sonship appears to involve almost endless time. However, the miracle entails a sudden shift from horizontal to vertical perception. This introduces an interval from which the giver and receiver both emerge farther along in time than they would otherwise have been. The miracle thus has the unique property of abolishing time to the extent that it renders the interval of time it spans unnecessary. There is no relationship between the time a miracle takes and the time it covers. The miracle substitutes for learning that might have taken thousands of years. It does so by the underlying recognition of perfect equality of giver and receiver on which the miracle rests. The miracle shortens time by collapsing it, thus eliminating certain intervals within it. It does this, however, within the larger temporal sequence.
Mhm. Okay, it seems to be a lot there, but I think if you look at the experience that you had, Sonia, it's a good way to kind of understand what it's saying here. So when it talks about number 2, the longitudinal or horizontal plane, the recognition of the equality of the members of the sonship appears to involve almost endless time. So yes, so what we are learning, okay, we seem to be in time and we are here to learn our lessons, and that seems to take time. Okay, but and when we think of time, we tend to think of it horizontally. We tend to think of it past, present, future. Okay, but in the miracle, in that holy instant that Sonia had spoken about, okay, there is no time because she's completely in the present moment. Okay, so in the present moment, that's vertical time, that's longitudinal time. And in that moment, see, it's number 3. The miracle entails a sudden shift from horizontal to vertical perception. So the present moment is considered vertical perception, which is true perception, which is a holy instant, because horizontal perception, the idea of horizontal time just seems to vanish. Okay, and so in that moment, the receiver and the giver are emerge farther along in time that they would otherwise have been, because in that moment there's a recognition of oneness, of the equality. See, it's number 2, the recognition of the equality of the members of the sonship. So in that recognition, the lesson that we're here to learn is advanced. It's like we just jumped a grade or 2 in that moment of the miracle. Okay, so we don't have to keep repeating and repeating and repeating the same error and the same error and the same error. You know, you're a stranger, you know, why should I talk to you? You might be scary, you know, you might whatever. Okay, I shouldn't talk to strangers. That's what I learned, you know, as a kid. You know, there's a lot of things your imagination can just bring up to keep you separate. Okay, and so all of those beliefs are undone right there. They're not there. So all the work in healing the mind is just what's the word? So the work of healing the mind is really changing our perceptions, okay? And in order to do that, what we do is we have to look at our beliefs and we have to see that they're wrong, okay? They're mistakes, okay? They're perceptions of separation that are not true, okay? And when we recognize that, the mind heals and sees clearly, okay? Well, the miracle has a way of being able to release a bunch of these beliefs at once. So it's going to save us time because we don't have to take each one individually, just a whole bunch of them, just poof, not there. Okay. So, so that's why the number 7 says the miracle substitutes for learning that might have taken thousands of years. Okay. So that's many, many lifetimes that we don't have to do over and over and over. So it's really like, you know, a rocket for healing the mind. Yeah. And it's doing this, number 10, it's doing this within the larger temporal sequence. So we're still in time, you know, but the present moment is collapses time for that interval, for that instant. It collapses time. You know, it's a little bit like, think about the learning that we have to do. Think of it in terms of a movie, and each event, experience, trauma, whatever that needs healing is a lesson that we need to learn. Okay. Well, the miracle is a fast forward button. And so we don't have to keep playing that same part of the movie. We can just whoosh, fast forward, and we're done with that part.
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
Okay, let's see. Okay, so was that the last, or did I just switch to, to section 3. So, okay, so we're going to do section 3, and we do have time to start it, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it into its own video. So I'm going to go ahead and stop recording here, and then we'll start up again with this section, which is section 3 on chapter 1.